Hey everybody, I'm moving soon, so I'm gonna do like a shelf video. I don't know what's gonna get given away or whatever, or loaned out to a friend or sold or whatever in the coming days. So in lieu of knowing that, I'm gonna, or because I don't know that, I'm gonna make these videos about these shelves, and I'll take it shelf by shelf and just show you books. Let's celebrate the book collections that are here. However disorganized disorganized their arrangement may be. So first off, we have Proust at the Majestic, The Last Days of the Author Whose Book Changed Paris by Richard Davenport Hines. Looks like it's on this Bloomsbury imprint. It's I remember I got this in Knoxville at the McKay's because it was very cheap there. It's just paper, but it has this like bronze silvery lettering on the side. I really like Proust, and I've read to halfway through the Guermantes Way, so I'm really I'm excited to read this book. I've heard good things about it. I've seen it elsewhere, and I know that many people enjoy this book. If you've read it, please let me know what you thought of it. I'd like to get to it as kind of a biography. I'm prioritizing it as a biography. I'll get to it after maybe like my Nixon biography and some other Next, stuff. We have James Agee, Reconsiderations, a collection of criticism from UT Press that I really want to read because I'm an Agee head. This would be a great one to just sort of like kick back and read in the bath. I plan on going through another Agee phase soon and reading the short fiction and diving back into Let Us Now Praise Famous Men, and I will definitely be using this as Next, we have this copy of Schubert's Winter Journey, Anatomy of an Obsession, a very heavy hardcover, and it has these embossed footprints. It's designed by my favorite cover designer, Peter Mendelsohn, and you can see that the snow on this particular one has gotten very dirty. I loaned it to a friend, and then I kind of left it on their coffee table, and we would open it from time to time. And I think just in the course of being on that coffee table, it got little bits of this and that on it, little bits of tobacco, little bits of food, this and that, But I'm very excited for this book because I'd love a thing that goes through something song by song. For instance, I love those 33 1/3 things. So it's like, is this like the great, beautifully published hardcover song by song for like, Schubert's greatest album? Next up is a book that I've tried to give away, but people have said don't give it away, and now I kind of like it. It's from this Loeb Classical Library, this Aristophanes with Frogs, Assembly, Women, and Wealth. It's really nice. It's like a more recent printing of this book, and every time I open it up, I'm like, I have to be reading this. I want to write plays, so I need to read this right away. The banquets are to start right away. We got a nice little copy of A Midsummer Night's Dream. I think this is the copy I was using to kind of study it when I was first really understanding what the contents of it are. Next, we have this book, Kokoro, and it's by Saseki, an author I like a lot. I'm gonna put Ruskin away for a second on top of Alphabetical Diaries. It's an author I like a lot. I love that book of like ghost stories by Saseki. I need to reread that, and I still have it in PDF from my days in college. But here we have this kind of mass market, a gateway edition. It has kind of like this, it's in kind of good shape, but it's a little toasty. It's got some blurbs on the back. Lake Bluff, Illinois. That shouldn't be too far away from me. The glue is kind of stiff on it, but it's totally readable. It's totally like a good enough copy to read it. Like it opens nicely. Yeah, I have a feeling that this book is going to improve me somehow. Next, we have The Homeward Bounders by Diana Wynne Jones. Look at this beautiful cover of the ship going away. The game is reality and the rules are theirs. An excellent example of a beautiful ace fantasy cover applied to one of my favorite authors. Well, it's really one of our favorite authors. I haven't really read much of her, at all. We got My Life in Hard Times by James Thurber. Got this recently on the cheap, and I think it's about time for this Updike fan to know what Thurber is all about, and I've been enjoying it so far. I took a peek inside. I think this is a nice, modest little edition. I can't wait to take this thing into the bath. We got Catcher in the Rye. Don't really need to say much about that. This is my kind of main copy. This is the copy I usually use to reread the book, which I do basically yearly. We've got Twelfth Night. This is a copy of Twelfth Night. I never really liked the way the covers looked on these books, but it's a nice copy, and the Pelican text matches the text that I have in my Complete Shakespeare, which is a Pelican book. Now, Twelfth Night is a book that I need to study, kind of like I was studying A Midsummer Night's Dream in this edition. I really need to give this one the same attention this one had in books. I need to actually learn the play. I need to know what happens. I know generally some things that happen. I know some concepts. I know some of the tropes that are reused. But I want to dig deeper into Twelfth Night stat. The Anarchist Expropriators. I got this at an anarchist bookstore in Asheville, North Carolina, and I'm really excited to read it. I got it for a friend of mine who's more politically savvy, but the longer it sits on the shelf with this very intriguing cover and this exciting topic and this great this great title, I think to myself, I ought to read this. It would be a good way for me to understand a nice case study in history. What's the press on this one? AK Press. I don't know what that stands for. AK Press. What does that stand for? I sort of don't really know what AK Press stands for. I wasn't able to figure it out just by looking at the copyright page. I like the size of this book. Anybody who knows the channel knows I love little books. I found this in there. This is the bookmark from that bookstore. As you can see, our stack is getting quite large. Next, we have Ben Jonson's Bartholomew Fair from the Yale Ben Jonson. This is a very funny play that my acquaintances and friends have read, but I haven't read yet. So I'll keep it because I want to grow my collection of plays and I want to read that collection of plays. I haven't bought a play in a while. Well, actually, I got those like Penguin things of like Tennessee Williams and what's his name? Oh my gosh, I forget. Maybe Sam Shepard or something. I got Penguin editions of those recently. So I've been getting plays and getting more focused on plays. As a part of that, I'd like to learn more about Ben Jonson. I'd like to learn more about Ben Jonson as a fan of Shakespeare too, kind of like, you're just interested in any contemporary. I'm not totally sure that Ben Jonson was a contemporary of Shakespeare, or like how contemporary, how the dates match up, but I'll look that up later. Next, we have Under Milk Wood by Dylan Thomas. This is the copy that got him loaned to me and then was eventually like, yeah, you can have, because I think he just replaced his. And then we got this one, Micklemar's An Apology for the Course and Outcome of Certain Events, delivered by Dr. John Faustus on This His Final Evening and the Hunchback Variations. This one's really fun to read. This is another thing in my play collection. Waiting for Godot. Not much needs to be said about that. I think that was acquired for not much money at McKay's. The Oresteia by Aeschylus. I am excited to read that. One of my favorite books here, one of my favorite biographies. Speaking of biographies, we were talking about that Proust biography earlier, but this Elizabeth Hardwick, Herman Melville, this is one I will reread. This one really started to make me feel like I knew Melville a little bit. And she tends to focus, I think, on like the books just preceding Moby Dick, and also some of like the tragedies of his later life and stuff. And I think she also says cool stuff about Clarel. She focuses on cool moments in his life. She focuses also on like his relationship to his house and his nook in his house and his search for like the jobs that he wanted to hold later in life to kind of guarantee him more financial stability. I've got my nice copy of Pierre or the Ambiguities. Look at that. Like, it's like this guy who gets more and more cloudy. You can see it's kind of a crispy, kind of beloved. Oh, Derbilt store. So it's definitely from the Vanderbilt bookstore. This one I have to read, especially after reading Updike's Pan and Hugging the Shore. The Confidence Man, this is kind of a more recent get. It's like kind of along the lines of Pierre. Like, I just wanted like a little pocket copy of one of those rare Melville books that I could take around and investigate further. We got this New Catholic Answer Bible, a gift from my mother. It's a nice Bible there. You can see it, it's slip-cased. I should take it out of its slipcase. So here you see it out of its slipcase. It has like a rosary embossed into the cover. That's a nice thing. And then it has the black leather on the front. Yeah, kind of a nice package. Now I can grab my coffee. So here's what I want to avoid in the new place that I'm going to. I want to avoid double stacking things. I also want to avoid stacking things on top of things. How am I going to get out building stories from this, I'm aware, ooh, look at that humidity, making those pages wavy. But like, I'm aware that this is not the way to do things. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist or a particular, you know, book lover to understand that this is not how you want to do things. I can't even, it's just not at all how you want to do things. So, but I want to go into this back row, which has been inaccessible to me, not easily accessible to me for a long time now, I guess. So here we got a Webster's New Pocket Dictionary. Now, you know, this is like one of my favorite books. A true poet's resource. Put this in your pocket. It is actually like a pocket thing. It's only got usable words. That's my thing about this. It's like, you can dig into this for random sestina words, and you're gonna find stuff that you're gonna know how to use. It'll be interesting enough to have fun, turning it around, but it's like not gonna be so hard that you're not gonna know how to make a sentence out of it. Innate, you know, what else we got in here? Rabbi, you know, these are words we know. Temperate, great words and usable words. This is a cool get. This was a St. Vinny's get, and I've blown some people's minds with this little penguin edition of Passionate Journey. It's like my Lind Ward books, a novel in woodcuts, and maybe some NSFW stuff in there. But this is a fun book. This is McSweeney's that I got for a McSweeney's lover that I know. And it has, I think this is the one that has the They Might Be Giants thing in the back. Is this the one that has the They Might Be Giants thing? Maybe it's not. But I thought it had I'm thinking of a different book. But this one has like covers of like writers doing versions of other writers' stories. So I think it's kind of like as they go. This is a kind of a especially unique, especially cool McSweeney's theme. Of course I have McSweeney's stuff. We got Across the Land and the Water, hardcover, Sebald's poems, which if you haven't seen them yet, are lineated, like really, with these like short lines, and they incorporate history and voyage, often in a manner similar to the prose stuff, which is just over here on this other shelf, which we'll get to later. Isn't it interesting how utterly unorganized these shelves are? I think this is just what happens when you move somewhere and then you don't really have much time to live there before you move again, and you're trying to maintain like a large book collection. My intent after moving to the next place is to really not only get rid of the double stacking and the stacking things on top of things and stuff. You're gonna hear a lot of planning like this in these videos, just thank you for bearing with me. But is also to like organize them in general, maybe organize them by genre, but maybe at least alphabetically, if not alphabetically within genre. So Get in Trouble by Kelly Link. This is not my book, but it's one of the resident Kelly Link fans' favorite Kelly Link books. I want to read that. I also want to read Magic for Beginners. Hard Times. If you don't have a copy of this, you need it. Studs Terkel's work is so heroic. I was reading The Great War the other day. I had that hardcover. This is that shiny kind of, it's a Pantheon, I think, paperback. You find so much great stuff in here. Let's turn to a random, place and see what we find. Do you find yourself in ticklish situations on occasion? We're talking to Doc Graham. Looks like, oh my gosh. Yeah, who's had hard times in Chicago. He's had many ticklish situations. Oh my gosh. You see this fellow liquidated, that fellow disposed of. There's a lot of business goes on in America and in Chicago, and during the Great Depression, the Great Depression offered no exceptions to that rule. So, the Collected Stories of Deborah Eisenberg. I love her. I'm starting to love Deborah Eisenberg. I'm going to become like a super fan of her. I was reading a book of hers that from the library the other day, at the library. It was her like more recent collection, and it was just so well written. It was so weird in a way that strung you along, in that way I always talk about. We got woodwind instruments and their history. This was a gift, a nice gift, from someone who used to work on saxophones, because they knew I was trying to learn how to play the saxophone, and that was a nice, generous gift of theirs. We got Poe's selected tales. This is nice if you don't want to take the whole collected around. We got Hegel's preface to the Phenomenology of Spirit. This is like what my friend, whose dad is a Hegel scholar, loaned him this book, and then that friend left the book here, so I kept it. It used to be shelved right next to my Phenomenology of Spirit, but in the utter chaos of my shelves of late, you see that those things are totally separated from each other. We've got Hindemith's Traditional Harmony. I saw Dave Longstreth talked about that once, and I was like, I always think about him whenever I see that. I'm like, I'm going to make Dave proud and read that. Chopin, The Man and His Music. This looks good. It's a Dover Press thing, you know. It's nice and humble, nice sturdy paperback. I like Chopin. I like considering the impact Chopin had on music in general, and I think this book will help me get there. Shoplifting from American Apparel is a Talon, maybe the first Talon I read. Read it in the library when I was in college, and I really liked it. I need to reread. Never read Richard Yates, but I understand some of the situations surrounding Richard Yates. I understand a little bit of the context because I've read Taipei. Hold on, let me move these things over. The Facts by Philip Roth. Now, you can tell from the writing in this book that I read it really hard up to a point. Like, you can tell that there's a part where the notes stop, you know? It's got that thing going on. And I was about to give this away at one point, or give it away, but then I thought, you know, The Facts. I read it once. I should read it again. I think it might be a profitable reread. It's got its little remainder stripe. I remember liking to read it, and I think this might be like, just like any rereading experience, even with something that you kind of aren't super in love with at the first breath, is good. So I'm looking forward to having that with this The Facts. We've got 3 Shakespeares here. We've got Henry VI, Part 3, which I got because we were going to read it as part of our like reading all of Shakespeare thing. Henry VIII, which I got in an airport. An interesting one to get in an airport. What do you think about that? Now, I like the speeches toward the middle of this play, and I kind of, as a troll, like making a pet of this play and saying, oh my god, Henry VIII's the greatest. You know, how do you dislike it? Love's Labour's Lost, a play with special significance to me because I made lots of close friendships while I was in a production of that play. And last time I read it to review it before we were reading it as part of the Reading All of Shakespeare, I made lots of notes in this edition. I used like a felt-tipped pen that kind of sank the ink into the page. We got Radical Hope. Has anyone read this book? I like the shininess. I remember trying to give it away and somebody being like, don't give it away. It seems pretty good. And then here you go. Here's the last part of our journey on this long kind of like shelf look video. We've got The Story of the Stone. What volumes do we have? We're missing volume 3, I think. So you got volume 1, which was left here and which was read to great satisfaction. You know, it was like, this is a great book. And then later on, like it was so good that I was like, dude, we should get volume 2. You know, and I found volume 2 somewhere. Actually, I think I saw volume 2, volume 4, and volume 5 all beside each other at like a St. Vidi's once for like $6 total. And I was like, okay, I gotta get these. So I'm only missing volume 3, but the odds of me getting through volumes 1 and 2 and not wanting like a break that would give me enough time to locate that volume 3 is very low. Yeah, so why do I talk so confusingly on these videos? Anyway, thank you for bearing with me. This is very exciting to read. Many people in my set love old Chinese literature and long novels and novels in the old style, full of like letters and court intrigue and stuff like that. And the way that they have this mystique about them that when it's dismantled and you see that things are more, I don't know, like, you know, humble or natural or scatological or something than you first expected, you get this nice kind of boost of dopamine when you're reading it. So anyway, that was a quick look at one of my little cubbyhole shelves in this house from which I am soon to move. Thank you, everybody, and have a good day. Happy reading.